Welcome to A Vibe Above, your space for deep healing, vibrant energy, and powerful transformation. Here, we explore holistic wellness, sound healing, mindset shifts, and the path to your future self. Every episode is designed to help you tap into the wisdom of your body, elevate your energy, and expand into the version of you that feels fully aligned. Through ancient practices, modern insights, and grounded guidance, you'll uncover the tools that create lasting change, inside and out. You're here to rise, to heal, and to step boldly into the life that's waiting for you. So let's dive in. Welcome back to A Vibe Above. I'm your host, Ranieri, and today let's talk about where we are heading. As we're stepping into the second half of the year, I haven't found myself thinking about goals, resolutions, or everything I want to accomplish over the next 6 months. My attention keeps coming back to something much deeper. I've been paying attention to people. The conversations I'm having are different. The questions people are asking are different. Even the energy feels different. More and more, I'm meeting people who sense that something is changing, yet they can't quite put it into words. It's almost as if we're standing between two chapters. One is coming to an end, while the next hasn't fully revealed itself yet. I don't think this feeling is something to fear. In fact, I think it's inviting us to become more aware of what's happening, both around us and within us. The world is changing at an incredible pace. Technology is evolving faster than ever. Artificial intelligence is transforming how we work and create. Information is constantly at our fingertips, and every day we're surrounded by more opinions, advice, more predictions, and more people telling us what they believe we should do next. Yet with all of this information available, something interesting is happening. Many people aren't looking for more answers. They're looking for something real. They're looking for something that helps them feel connected again, not only to other people, but to themselves. I don't believe that's a coincidence. I think we're entering a time where knowledge alone won't be enough. Information has never been more accessible, yet wisdom, discernment, and self-awareness have never been more important. We're being invited to think differently, to question more deeply, and to become far more intentional about whose voices we're allowing to shape our lives. For me, this isn't about rejecting teachers, mentors, or people we can learn from. Some of the greatest growth in my own life has come from learning from others. The difference is that the best teachers never ask us to depend on them. They help us discover something within ourselves that was there all along. And I believe that's the shift we're living through right now. I think one of the biggest challenges we're facing today isn't a lack of information. It's the sheer amount of it. Never before have we had so many people telling us how to live, what to believe, how to build a business, raise our children, etc. Open your phone, and within minutes you'll hear countless opinions, strategies, and promises, all competing for your attention. The interesting thing is that while we've become more connected through technology, many people feel more disconnected from themselves. They're overwhelmed not because they aren't trying, but because they're constantly taking in someone else's perspective before they've had a chance to hear their own. I've caught myself doing this too. You listen to someone you respect, and before you know it, you're questioning what you originally felt. You wonder if you missed something. You start second guessing your own instincts because someone else's certainty sounds more convincing than your own knowing. There's nothing wrong with learning from people who have experience. I've invested years learning from incredible teachers, coaches, and mentors, and I'm grateful for every one of them. They each offered something valuable that helped shape my journey. The difference is that I was never meant to become them, and neither are you. I think that's where we've unintentionally drifted off course. We've become so accustomed to searching for answers that we've forgotten how to sit with a question. We rush to Google, AI, social media, podcasts, or the next expert before giving ourselves the opportunity to ask, what do I actually feel about this? That question has become incredibly important to me. Not because I believe I've always had the right answer, but because I've learned that discernment is a practice. The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes. We begin recognizing the difference between fear and intuition, someone else's expectations and our own inner knowing, and between information that's simply interesting and wisdom that actually is meant for us. I honestly believe that's one of the greatest invitations at this time. It's not to stop learning, but to become more intentional about how we learn. To gather wisdom without giving away our authority. To stay open while remaining deeply connected to ourselves. Because the world doesn't need more people repeating what they've heard. It needs more people who have taken the time to discover what's true for them and have the courage to live it. Over the years, I've explored a lot of different ways to better understand ourselves. Human design has become a huge part of my journey, but it's certainly not the only thing I've studied. I've spent years learning about the nervous system, subconscious beliefs, energy, frequency, and more recently, diving deeper back into quantum principles. In the beginning, I looked at them as separate paths, each offering a different perspective on how we experience life. As time went on, I started noticing something I hadn't expected. No matter what I was studying, I kept arriving at the same realization. Each one was helping me understand myself a little more deeply. They encouraged me to become more aware of the stories I've been carrying, the beliefs shaping my decisions, the way my body responded to stress, and the patterns I had never stopped to question. Instead of giving me another set of answers to follow, they kept inviting me to become more curious about myself. That completely changed the way I looked at this work. I stopped seeing human design, nervous system regulation, subconscious beliefs, and energy work as separate modalities. I began seeing them as different doorways leading to the same place. Each one offers another opportunity to understand ourselves with a little more honesty, more compassion, and more trust than we had before. I think that's why I'm so passionate about sharing these tools with other people. My hope has never been that someone walks away depending on human design, energy work, or any other framework. My hope is that every conversation helps them build a stronger relationship with themselves. Because when someone truly understands how they're wired, how they've been conditioned, and what actually feels aligned for them, they begin making decisions from a completely different place. When I step back and look at everything I learned over the years, I realize they've all been pointing in the same direction. They've taught me to become more aware, to strengthen my discernment, and to trust myself more than I did before. To me, that's the real gift. It's not about collecting more knowledge. It's about allowing that knowledge to bring us back to ourselves. I truly believe that's what so many people are searching for right now. They're searching for something that feels real, that helps them quiet the outside noise long enough to hear their own wisdom again. And maybe that's what the season of life is inviting us all to do. To slow down, become more present, and remember that while we can learn from many people, the life we're creating still has to feel true to us. As I've been watching this shift unfold, I found myself thinking a lot about leadership. Not leadership in the traditional sense of standing on a stage or leading a company, but the kind of leadership that begins with simply being yourself. I think the world is craving more authenticity. People are tired of polished perfection. They're tired of feeling like they have to keep up, fit in, or measure themselves against someone else's highlighted reel. There's something refreshing about someone who's willing to be real, who speaks from experience instead of trying to have all the answers. The interesting thing is that I've met so many incredible people who have beautiful gifts to share, yet they continue to question whether they're ready. They tell themselves they need one more certification, one more class, one more year of experience before they can finally put themselves out there. Meanwhile, the world keeps waiting for what only they can offer. I've come to believe that confidence doesn't magically appear one day before we take action. More often than not, it grows because we were willing to take the first step. We learn, we refine, we make mistakes, and we continue showing up. That's how confidence is built. It's not something we wait for. It's something we create through experience. I also think we're moving into a time where people are becoming much more intuitive about who they trust. They're looking behind titles and followers. They want to know whether someone is genuine. They want to feel a real connection. They want to know that that person they're listening to has actually lived what they're talking about. That gives every one of us permission to stop comparing ourselves to everyone else. Your story doesn't have to look like mine. My journey doesn't have to look like yours. What matters is that we're willing to show up honestly and allow our experiences, our lessons, and even our struggles to become part of what we contribute to the world. Maybe that's what leadership really looks like now. It isn't about having the loudest voice or convincing everyone to agree with you. It's about having the courage to know who you are, to continue growing, and to share your gifts in a way that feels genuine. Because when one person chooses to stop hiding, it quietly gives someone else permission to do the same. As we move into the second half of the year, I don't find myself thinking about how much more I can accomplish. My thoughts keep coming back to a different question. Who am I becoming? When we slow down long enough to ask ourselves that, everything starts to shift. Success takes on a different meaning. Growth feels different. Even the decisions we make begin coming from a different place because they're no longer driven by pressure or the need to keep proving ourselves. They're guided by something much deeper. I think this is a beautiful time to pause and reflect. Not because the calendar says it's July, but because life naturally gives us moments to look back before we move forward. We can see where we've grown, where we've stayed the same, what we've learned, and what no longer feels aligned with the person we're becoming. Maybe you've noticed yourself questioning things that once felt certain, or that your priorities have changed. Maybe what used to motivate you doesn't have the same pull anymore. I don't necessarily see that as a sign that something is wrong. I see it as a sign that you're evolving. For me, the second half of the year isn't about creating another version of ourselves. It's about having the courage to live as the person we're already becoming. To trust ourselves a little more. Speak up when we've been quiet. Share our gifts without waiting until everything feels perfect. And recognize that the world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs us bringing what only we can bring. It needs each of us bringing what only we can bring. If there is one thing I hope you carry with you through the rest of this year, it's this. Continue learning, stay curious, and remain open to new ideas and perspectives. But don't lose yourself in the process. Let every experience bring you closer to who you are, not further away from it. Because when you live from that place, the way you lead, love, create, and contribute to the world begins to change naturally. And I honestly believe that's the kind of change our world needs right now. If this is a good time for you and you're not driving, I'd like to invite you to take a few moments just for yourself. You can close your eyes or simply soften your focus. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and a gentle exhale through your mouth. Allow your shoulders to relax. Unclench your jaw and simply notice your breath without trying to change anything. As you continue breathing, imagine the outside world becoming a little quieter. The opinions, the expectations, the endless information, and all the pressure to have everything figured out can simply fade into the background for a few moments. You don't need to solve anything right now. You don't need to make any decisions. Just allow yourself to be fully present with you. Now bring your awareness inward, not to the person you've been trying to become, but to the person you already are. The one beneath the expectations, the comparisons, the doubts, and the noise. Take another slow breath and simply notice what it feels like to sit with yourself without needing to change anything. As you rest in that space, gently ask yourself, if I trusted myself just a little more, what would change? There's no need to search for the perfect answer. Simply notice what naturally comes into your awareness. It might be a feeling, a memory, a thought, or perhaps nothing at all. Whatever comes forward is exactly what you need in this moment. Take another slow breath and imagine moving through the rest of this year with a little more trust in yourself. Imagine making decisions from a place of clarity instead of pressure. Imagine sharing your voice a little more freely, allowing yourself to be seen without feeling like you have to be perfect first. Just notice how that feels. As we finish our time together, remember that you don't have to have every answer before taking the next step. You don't have to become someone else before your life begins to change. Sometimes the greatest transformation comes from reconnecting with the wisdom that's been quietly within you all along. Take one final deep breath. Gently exhale. And when you're ready, bring your awareness back to the room. As we begin the second half of the year, my hope is that you'll give yourself permission to slow down enough to hear your own voice again. Keep learning. Stay curious. Explore new ideas. And be open to perspectives that challenge you. Just remember that every experience, every teacher, and every tool should ultimately bring you back to yourself, not further away from who you are. The world has never needed more people trying to be someone else. It needs people who know who they are. My hope is as you move through the rest of this year, you'll have the courage to trust your own voice, share your own gifts, and become more of who you were always meant to be. Because that's where real change begins. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts because I think this is a conversation worth continuing. Until next time, keep rising above. Many blessings. Before you go, I want to invite you to my next live human design workshop, The Power Within, Your 9 Centers of Leadership, Influence, and Wisdom. We'll be looking at the 9 centers in your chart, what energy you consistently carry, where you may be taken in outside influence, and how this impacts your leadership, relationships, business, confidence, and clarity. This workshop is happening July 16th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and everyone who joins will also receive a personalized centers reflection report from me. You can also join my Inner Sovereign Society, where we go deeper within these workshops, within ourselves, and within our leadership abilities. You will find all the information in the show notes, and I would so love to have you there.